voice. Big and loud.
Let the bass talk. G'day guys, it's Robbo. This week for a bit of a tip, I thought you might be interested in having a sneak peek behind the Pro Tools session that I used to record the podcast with. Given that we have me here in Sydney, AP in south of Melbourne, and then George in LA and Robert in Chicago, it's a bit of a logistical nightmare. So recording the show once a fortnight can be a bit of a headache. So I, being a bit of a template boy in Pro Tools, have sort of made myself a template that I find works really well. And so I thought I'd share it with you, see if it inspires something that might solve some issues for you. So we also work a little bit interestingly with the Pro Audio Suite podcast too, because AP and I are sort of both editors on the show. Once the show has been recorded, I go through and I don't do an editorial edit. I do what I call a cleanup edit. So if we've spoken over the top of each other or there's some issues with dropouts or whatever that need to be sorted out, I'll do all that sort of stuff and tidy all that up. And then I do a stereo mix of that, which gets sent down to Andrew. And the reason it's stereo, by the way, is because I do some panning in the show, obviously. So that goes down to Andrew, and then Andrew just does the editorial edit. So that means that Andrew doesn't have to get his multi-track skills up to speed just to edit the show. And then once he's done that, he sends it back to me and I lay it up and mix it, which we'll see in the template. But that's the reason I sort of did do a template, because there's a few processes that work through. And also I'm a template guy. I just find that templates in Pro Tools save me a whole bunch of time with the mundane everyday stuff that I just don't want to have to do. I just want to dive in and get creative. So let's have a quick look here. As you can see, this is a recording that we did earlier in the week this week. Now we record once a fortnight and we record 2 shows. So they're both there in front of us, obviously. Obviously, when I open this template up, those recordings aren't there. But that's what it looks like after a recording in general. Excuse me. So as you can see, there's my mic, which obviously comes straight here in front of me. I have Andrew, Robert, and George. I have a guest. Playback is for anything we need to listen to. So if we're listening to samples or something or whatever, I'll play that back through the Rodecaster, and that comes up in there and gets sent down the Source Connect line to the guys. And the raw record is basically that track goes into record as well. You can't see it here, but it records the whole thing. So it's sort of like a backup. It's one of many backups that happen in this process. And then down here is just my Source Connect inputs. So that's usually Andrew, that's usually Robert, and that's usually George. So in and of itself, that's not real exciting. But sort of after the recording finishes, as you can see here, this is where the template sort of starts to step in on itself. So the first thing I would do is highlight my audio and copy that. And then the next thing I do basically is go in here and I make those tracks inactive because I'm now done with that. That's all I need that for. So the reason that I do a copy and I don't cut it, by the way, is then I always have the original there to fall back on, should for whatever reason I need it, if, God knows why. But I always sort of like to have backups and be able to work backwards if I need to. So if for some reason I need an unedited version of the recording, it's all there. Now, in Pro Tools, as you're probably aware, you have memory locations. So if I click on down here, if I click on Edit, that will take me to my next memory location, which is right here. So this is the edit section of my template. Now, guest 1 and guest 2, doesn't matter. I was using it while I was editing, but we can hide those out of the way. So this is where I do that cleanup edit that I was describing to you. So these wouldn't normally be muted, but they are for now. So I would unmute those, come up here, paste in my audio, and then go through and do that process. Now, the nice thing about this is that when I get to this section of the template, all my plugins are here, ready to go. When I set up the template, I left them. I did do it after an edit, so that those plugins were roughly around where they need to be, and that's where I've saved them. They open up with those settings. In fact, you can see, well, not so much there, but you can see the EQ settings and compression settings there. There's the noise reduction. So I don't need to do that every time. So what I do is usually I'll paste in the audio, and I will go in and first thing I'll do is I'll go in and I'll clean up all the silence. I'll do all those edits that I was describing if there's dropouts or whatever. Then I'll go back to the head and I'll listen through to see, okay, are we talking over each other? Is there clicks and pops and stuff that need to get taken out as well that's over the top of someone else talking, someone sneezing, whatever. And while that is happening, while I'm listening down, that's when I'll go in and I will adjust all these parameters and get sort of tweak those to get them right for the recording of that day. Because as you know, what sounds great on EQ for someone one day, come back, change of mic position, even just, depending on what they've had for breakfast, sometimes can change what they sound like. So those little things need tweaking. So once that's done, and we're done, we've got something looking like this for an episode, I will then bounce that out to a 2-track file and send that down to Andrew, who does the edit. So at this stage, for me, it would be mute those tracks back off again and wait for Andrew to send me those files back once he's done his edit. So when that does happen, go down here to the mix portion of my template, and here's our stereo files that AP has sent back to me. And obviously that would be active, and I would paste or drag those files in. The top and tails are already there in my template. My mastering effects are already there. They're just not turned on, obviously, to affect so that I'm not listening to them while I'm in the middle of the editing process, the step back behind this. So all I really have to do, because knowing that AP does a great job, is basically just drag the files in, match them up with the top and the tail, get the balance right, stick on my mastering effects, and bounce the show out, and it comes down to you. So as I said, I mean, the power of this for me is speed. I can open up the template and pretty much be recording, within a minute or two, as long as everything's okay with Source Connect and all the other things that need to happen in the background. While I'm recording in here, no one else is listening off here, only me. We meet on Source Nexus with video, so we can see each other and chat. So everybody else is monitoring off that. So I've got to send a mix of all this to them. If that's the case, if I'm sending audio from here, I've got to be able to send that to them as well as me. So there's a few other things that need to happen, but in terms of opening up and recording, it's really simple for me to do that. So look, as I said, if you can take something away that helps you streamline the process that you're dealing with at the moment, templates in Pro Tools, and it's not just Pro Tools. You can do things similar to templates in a number of DAWs. Might be the way to go. So hopefully that helps.